What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Trail Theory Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Alex.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Pfeiffer. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Trail Theory Podcast. Tonight, I'm excited. This is going to be fun because camping is awesome. We talk about backpacking, hiking. An integral part of that experience is camping. I know we've talked about it on other episodes, but I want to talk about what you look for when we're out there. Maybe we generally know what campsite we're going for, but what are you looking for when you want like the perfect campsite? What do you want to do? What do you want to? You want to be near water? You not want to be near water? What? And I think we're probably more different than we think we are, even though we all kind of, because we camp together. But I'd be interested to see how we differ in that and what we're really looking for when you go. If you could pick your perfect site, what do you want?
God, when you find the right one.
Way to go on that.
Oh, we're clapping.
You.
What a great intro.
What a good
I'm
intro.
so amped for this one because it's like we've never talked about it.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Listen,
so excited.
We had to talk to Pfeiffer off camera, off mic about his intros. So, no, I'm kidding. No, that was beautiful.
Exceptional job.
There is something really special.
It's good to be recognized.
There's something really special when you find like the right camp spot. It's so warm, and like when you get the right spot,
It just feels like home.
and because there's a little bit of, I don't know if you guys feel this at all. Sometimes it's just a little bit. It's not a lot, but like sometimes I get a little anxious when we're backpacking that like, ooh, I hope we get a good campsite.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel that too a little bit.
You know, because like I want to enjoy obviously everything about the day, getting the miles in, seeing everything that we want to see. But like, there's a part of me that's like, I hope we get a good spot.
But dig into that. Like, what are you afraid you're not going to get? Like, what's the thing when you're nervous about that? What are you?
At worst, I fear that we're not going to get a campsite at all, like a designated campsite.
Yeah.
Right.
That will just be out, trying to find a random.
Because when you've never been to a place that you're backpacking at,
Which usually is the majority of the
which
time.
is most of the time, you're like, well, I don't know how populated this area is going to be. I don't know if there's going to be a bunch of backpackers out. Are we going to be fighting for spots? Because we've been in both situations where we found literally, like, in my opinion, the perfect campsite, but also situations where we were like, ooh, that one's taken. Ooh, that one's taken.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're like literally kind of doing a makeshift campsite.
Yeah.
And you know what? I kind of mentioned this in the last episode too, if I can remember correctly. But I had mentioned that's why I love getting out like the day before. Like if we get out on Thursday, like the day before the weekend, if we get out on Thursday, we're usually a day ahead other people. So it's like we're always kind of on the front end of being able to kind of get a good camp spot.
Get a pick of the list. And sometimes, though, what's interesting is that, like, what's it called? FOMO or whatever? It's like having too many options.
I know, because then it's like, shit.
What if we had gone to the next one?
But if we went to the next one, that's happened a couple times.
Definitely happened where we are hiking the next day and you're like, damn, if we would have just gone like a half a mile or less.
Right.
You know,
you're like, ooh, this is nice.
I mean, it is what it is.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And
that's part of the adventure.
Yeah, I don't get anxiety about it. I understand how I can recognize that feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that way because at some point, like, f it, we're going to figure it out. You know?
I think, in the moment, yes, it's like, okay, this is cool. Like, we can find a spot here. We can find a spot here. There's a ton of, like, this is cool. But then when you get to that other spot and it's like, well, this would have been perfect. Look at that. Look at that pre-made that's a fireplace right there.
Look at this thing that was 20 yards further.
Yeah. Right. Well, and that one was
frustrating.
The one you're referencing, Brian, is really funny because that was that Linville, I think, right?
Yeah.
We were up on the ridge and we had it was a great campsite. But we happened to go Okay.
It was fine.
It wasn't that great.
It wasn't that great.
No, it wasn't great.
We were
I enjoyed
like
it. It wasn't.
We were
Which one? The big wide open one?
No.
It was on top of the ridge.
The
It was
first
windy.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good spot.
No, it wasn't.
I've told this story.
I liked that spot.
Are you kidding me?
It was a
No,
good.
hold on.
The place you woke up and looked over?
That's not.
That's
that
not
wasn't
what we're
Linville.
talking about.
No, we're talking about Linville.
That was Cranberry.
Oh, between the
Cranberry.
trees.
Yeah.
Oh, where you cooked the shoe. The steak.
There's a lot of things that
There was a lot
happened
of
that
things
night.
That spot was fine.
There was a No. Hold on. There were multiple problems at that campsite. Okay. First of all, I want to just say this. Like, I would like to do like a flashback episode where we go over Linville. Actually, a lot of our other backpacking trips, it'd be fun to kind of do like a retrospective of like some of our backpacking trips we haven't. I mean, we've talked about little tidbits here and there, but it'd be cool to like kind of dive in with some of our older trips. But that campsite is one of my least favorite ones. One, it was on top of a ridge, so at night it was like fighter jets were flying
crazy
above us.
windy.
It was so loud
windy.
and windy. That was also the night where I was in a hammock and the tarp was flapping in my face like an inch away from my face, just loud, so loud, and I had to get in with Paul in his 2-person tent, and then I woke up and my hammock was in a tree. It was actually
yard sale.
It was a yard sale, and that was also the shoe, but that's not the campsite's fault.
So I would
the shoe stake.
I'm gonna manistay this because I'm gonna argue it.
I like
the
how
other
that's
way.
become a verb now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Was it like I'm certainly not gonna say it was like an awesome camp spot. It wasn't, but I'm going to give it a little more credit because I remember, and if someone else agrees with me, please do, because I'm curious if anyone felt this way. I remember having a really, really, really good fire that night.
We did have a good fire.
And I remember like the spot where we had the fire was kind of cozy. Like it was like
tight.
it was kind of like
tight,
within like the bushes and shit.
Yeah.
And I remember that being kind of cozy.
It was tight.
I liked it.
It was, and maybe I misused the word great, but it was a suitable camp spot. And my point in bringing it up though was that we found that spot, hunkered down, did our whole thing, and then in going out to find firewood, literally throwing distance from where we were, there was this other little spot. It was total well established. There was like a full on fireplace,
I
like
don't
a
remember
full
that.
stone, and a stone wall that was kind of like a wind barrier. So if we were in there,
we would have been
a little more
protected.
comfortable.
Wow,
But
now
Are
I'm
you
mad. Now
are
I'm
you
mad.
sure that spot wasn't the last night where it
No.
was like the
No.
Game of Thrones fireplace?
No.
I'm pretty sure that was the last.
It
night.
wasn't
that
the
was the
last,
last night, though.
night we were in Linville was down in the valley where we were on the river.
No, that was a decent
That,
campsite.
that wasn't Linville. We were up on
No,
the
that was
big ridge.
Cranberry.
You're
it was
talking about the
Linville.
second night. You're thinking of the second night.
Second night was
The
up on
second
the
night
ridge
we
where I
were up
took
on
that
the ridge.
photo.
It
of the
doesn't
river
matter.
there.
No, we need to review
The night-
Linville
we'll-
real quick.
we'll do
the
that.
first night was the ridge that we just talked about,
Yes.
where it was fighter
The shoe
jet
stake.
wind.
Yes.
The shoe stake.
We were
the
back-
second night there was a widespread, really wide open, right by some like kind of closed bathroom area.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
that
And
was
there
still
another,
on the ridge.
There were some
then
people that were
then
like,
I've got another campground. Where's the photo that I took of you overlooking the?
That's
Cranberry.
Cranberry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, it's my mistake.
that's Cranberry. But the third
Damn.
night of Linville was right by the river.
Yep.
And we played hacky sack
Right.
poorly.
Very
Oh.
poorly.
Where we saw the two trail runners
trail
Going
runners
across
going to
to
Mount
Mount
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
that were going to
Yep.
Mitchell.
Yeah.
That was an exceptional
It
campground.
That was a
that
nice
was a
campground.
fantastic one. It's not
So
the one I'm
It
talking
sucked
about,
getting down to.
So we've talked about, well, that was a terrible campground. That was a good campground. Why were those bad, or why were they good campgrounds then? What made it good?
I slept well at all of them. I said I liked them all, so some better than others. And I even liked one that we weren't even talking about. So wham.
I think what didn't make a good campground for me on that trip specifically, I guess if we're still talking about Linville, I would 100% agree with Austin. The wind while you're on top of a ridge, on top of a mountaintop, is way, way more severe than if you were down in the valley protected.
I would
You've
agree
got a
with
little
that.
more trees, so the wind isn't going to be as bad. And it's loud, man.
It's loud.
Like when you've got a high wind coming through and whipping through all your thin ass tent material,
Everything's
just
quaffing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
And what's interesting about that, though, is there's so many places that you can go that it's even difficult to find a campsite on top of a ridge
Right.
like that. So a lot of places have their established campgrounds, like where, let's say you like climb up and you're on the ridge and you have to kind of hike down the
Right.
side of a
Yeah.
mountain or a hill
Yeah, so
to
you're a
get
little
out,
covered.
so
Well,
you
and
get
a
a
lot
little
of
bit
places-
more flat surface
Yeah,
area.
a lot of places
Yeah.
won't allow dispersed camping above a certain
Right.
Sure.
Elevation, yeah.
It's,
So when you do have it, it doesn't happen super often, but when you do find it, like that's one of the things that's tough about it, is that you're exposed. Even if you have like trees around you, like the wind can really whip.
Yeah.
And you know what?
See the wind wasn't a big issue for me personally.
I can, dude.
But I can sleep through.
Yeah, dude, you're
tornado.
not a good judge.
I'm a bad case.
I'm with Alex. It doesn't bother me for sleeping. When it does bother me is the sitting around and just doing stuff at camp. It's annoying to just be getting pelted the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I want to just be in the quiet, like with you guys, and just chill. I could sleep through anything. That doesn't matter.
See, okay, I'll bring this up a little earlier than I thought I was going to, because I have a hard time sleeping just in general on the trail. I've kind of said that a few times. It's getting better, which is good.
Yeah.
But when I sleep at home, it's got to be quiet. It's got to be dead quiet. So like when we had our kids and we had like the bassinet in the room or something like that, when they were like babies before they were in their crib, and we had the sound machine on, I would hear like overtones in the sound machine, and it would keep me up at night.
So this is funny, Brian, because
you're a maniac.
Well, okay,
do it.
So Brian, I what's funny is so like both you and I have like audio backgrounds, right? We've both played music, went to audio engineering school, all that kind of stuff. I am the opposite, because if I have a constant, it eliminates the other annoying frequencies that bother me. And actually, like last week, my wife and I took a short cabin trip, and we didn't like have our normal fan that we have on.
Yeah.
And the heater turned on, and there was a pitch in it that was like...
It was bothering you?
Like right in my ear. Like I was like, oh my God, this is stabbing frequency in my ear, and I couldn't get to sleep. And I had to like close a door and put a like sound machine noise on my phone in order to like help drown it out. And that helped. So I actually like a certain like white noise sort of thing to kind of help manage the frequencies.
See, it's hard for me because Alex, you sleep through whatever. It doesn't matter.
I could give two shits.
So like the wind,
TV. I could fall asleep right now at this table,
Alex
sitting in my chair.
Alex and I are sitting here shaking our heads like, what
you give me like
you
a
guys
shitty
talking
back
about?
seat in a car, airplane. I'll fall asleep wherever you want.
The wind whipping through my tent, that will keep me up at night. A lot of the times, first of all, I love camping near water because of the convenience of being able to get water for drinking, for cooking, and all that stuff. We'll get to there, but for me to make the point about the sounds, sometimes it's hard for me to get to sleep because if we're near like a really heavy stream and it's really loud, like at Dolly, like that one campspot, that's hard for me to get to sleep because it's so
to me
loud.
Is comforting.
I like it.
Yeah.
So soothing.
That's the sound machine.
I knew I was going to be in the corner with that one.
It sounds like
you're on your own there.
Sounds like you need a new hobby, Brian.
No, it would.
You can't.
It would not matter.
Sounds like you're
It would not matter.
overanalyzing.
Have you ever
every sound.
Have you ever taken earplugs?
I have, because I used to sleep in the tent with this guy over here.
buddy.
Pfeiffer,
Brian,
the snore monster.
That's the other thing. I can't, dude.
Okay,
that's why Brian can't be in the tent with me anymore.
We have to talk about this.
Snorlax. Why is that not his trail name?
Honestly, Snorlax should be mine's locked in.
Why is that not his trail name?
Snorlax.
I like it better than beef.
I do too.
That's so good.
Because he likes beef.
Okay,
Yeah, it's got to be something that he doesn't like. At least something that he doesn't want to celebrate.
Yeah.
So Pfeiffer typically has his own tent.
Oh, you're talking about Snorlax.
I'm talking about Snorlax. He sleeps in his own tent. So there's very few times where I'm like near him for sleeping. When we were at the White Mountains, on the second night, we stayed in the bunkhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
him
yeah.
and
Great
I,
knob.
great knob. And him and I were right next to each other, and I couldn't get to sleep, but it wasn't really just the snoring. I was worried that there was a medical issue going on. It was so irregular. He sounded like an inbred pug. Like it was really bad. And I was like,
I told you,
for his
dude.
safety.
I told you it's real bad.
I woke up and I was like, you need to go see a doctor. Like, is there a doctor in the woods here? Like,
I told you it was bad.
I probably have sleep
Have you
apnea,
seen a
but-
doctor since?
Not about that.
Oh, okay.
But,
You should.
Maybe it's something I'll take care of sometime.
I think that's a.
Sounds
Does
like you're
step-
I think
dying.
that sounds like a I'm not gonna do it scenario.
Does your wife mention the
No,
snoring?
that's the thing. I think she just recognizes
She
that I
snores
do.
as well, so it kind of like
So
cancels
here's, I mean, if
itself out.
we're diving deep into my medical history, then I guess let's do this. But
We're throwing HIPAA out the fucking window.
no,
Hey,
so
if it's coming from his mouth,
I
it
guess
doesn't
that's
matter.
true, that's
Yeah.
true.
I do have, and so does my dad and my sister, like everybody in my family. But I have a deviated septum, so that's the reason. And I could get it fixed. I just haven't.
Yeah,
So-
he doesn't want us
It
making
is
fun of
what
him
it
for
is.
getting a nose job.
Yeah. Okay.
Rhinoplasty.
Snorlax
Someone
it
doesn't
is.
know what a deviated septum is.
Snorlax it
kidding.
is.
But hey, man, I snore. So
Yeah.
I snore
You do.
in
It's just-
certain
you
circumstances.
do snore too.
It's just-
I'm not going to say it's on par with
No,
me,
hold
but
on.
you do.
It's not
No,
just the
it's not.
snoring.
Okay,
It's
we
not.
get it.
It's worrisome. I care about you, buddy.
Hold on, I think I actually have.
Listen,
You-
your
you-
your
I have
intros
recorded
are
it.
bad.
I have
but your
I,
snoring is bad.
He's recorded it.
I have
Yeah.
recorded it before, and I'm gonna throw it in right now.
Let's remember that was like 10 years ago.
No, it was not.
Yeah, I thought that was when we went climbing.
No,
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 this was
well,
I think
this
like
was-
a
not that
trip
it
or
would
two
matter.
this
ago.
was
was
always been that
this was
bad.
last year.
He snuck into your room in your home.
No, wasn't
and-
it? Wasn't it on the whites?
It might have been at Red.
When we were
No.
there.
Was it Red?
It was the red trip. Yeah,
it was Red.
yeah. Last year
That's
in the
why I got
spring.
confused. It was still at the Red.
This is
but
gonna be a
just-
good
I
episode.
guess that's true.
Yeah.
The
So,
notes for this episode
isn't
are
where
gonna
I
be
was
But anyways,
expecting.
so
I was
anyways,
not
yeah.
expecting the episode to go this
Go,
way.
going in, but like sounds, I normally it's
Outside
gotta be
of snoring,
it's got to be
yeah.
dead quiet for me. So sometimes it's hard when we go near water. Obviously, the pros of having the water there and the river there way outweigh the con of it just being loud for me to sleep. So
I'm glad,
I
I'm
never
glad
say
you
a
can
thing.
put your personal opinion
Oh,
aside
right.
for the better of
Absolutely.
the
Yeah,
group.
suck
Yes.
it up so that we can
Sacrifice.
enjoy ourselves.
Yes, I,
mean,
will sacrifice for the group.
That's kind of an easy one. So I think that's on my list. I think water is kind of a given. Do we all agree that's
Absolutely.
if you had a choice between
I
water
think
and
that's
not water?
probably
Yes.
like arguably the top thing.
Yeah.
Because it's just ease.
Yeah.
You can be
Is it
not,
ma-
not
is
that
it
you can
more
be
for the-
wasteful with water, but if you're thirsty,
I remember-
dude, who
Is
cares?
it more for the convenience or because it's like the sounds and the like?
for me, it's convenience.
For everyone, it's convenient, but I personally like the sound.
Same.
I like the sound, but also it's laziness because I don't. We have had times. Damn it, you guys weren't at Harper's Ferry, but we had a really cool campground there.
Yeah.
But you had to like go over the river and through the woods to fucking get to this like spigot, and
Yeah.
it sucked.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, well, who's going? Like, take all
Right,
the water bottles and
right,
fill them
yeah.
up because it was kind of like, it was a little bit of a chore. And like the frustrating part was the campground. Like I still to this day think that was the best campfire we've ever had, and it's frustrating because that camp like site was awesome otherwise.
Yeah.
Had good wood. It had a lot of the like not platforms but little sectioned off areas for
Right.
tents. Like it was fantastic. But for me it's lazy. I don't want to once I'm hunkered into my little like spot on my Z-pad seat.
once the Crocs are on, it's
Yeah,
like-
when
Yeah,
the
you
Crocs
wanna be
are
able to
on, the
shuffle-
Z-pads, I don't want to like walk far to
You
water.
want to shuffle over to the river or creek or whatever
Yeah.
and get a little bit of water.
Wasn't that true for the when we were at the Whites in the cabin? Right, we had to trek a little bit.
We
Yeah,
had to
that-
go
I don't
to
love
just
that.
a little
we
bit.
had to go
yeah.
to the place with the pump, the giant
Yeah.
pump.
No,
That was for the first
we
night.
did.
that was the
the
first
first
night
night,
when
yeah.
we were at
Yeah.
old. Was it old? What was it that cabin name?
Grey Knob.
Grey Knob.
Grey Knob. Yeah,
we had to
yeah.
go to the little pipe.
The
There was
spigot,
there was a
spring.
spigot that
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
from a spring. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was
that wasn't that far.
But that was
It was
also
something.
we
I
were
mean,
also
it was a chore.
we were
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
inside of
Yeah,
a bunkhouse.
yeah, yeah.
That was
I-
really,
no,
really
I'm
nice.
just saying,
so it
even-
didn't feel like it was hard.
Yeah, any travel. I think even outside of the convenience, like when I think of Dolly 1 and 2, but especially 2, where we were at that stream for an entire day. Like it wasn't just convenience was big, but we got to go like walk up the river and explore and like,
Yeah.
and
Water-
we're in the water and we were
Water
just,
just
goofing off.
invites
Like, that was fun.
play.
Yeah.
And I think for me that part is what's exceptional about it.
See, I love it during the day because I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. I love getting in the water. I love having it there for the convenience factor
Yeah.
of being able to have drinking water and cooking water. But it's just the nighttime for me. I have to kind of I mentally have to check out of like every sound that's going on around me in order to get to bed.
And the other water-wise, the other campsite that stands out was I think it was Cranberry, right? The chair.
The best,
Cranberry,
the best
yeah.
campground we've ever had.
I don't know if I would say I have another one that I think competes for me, but
Oh,
Cranberry was a good one.
You're gonna say the dam.
We'll get
I am
to
going to
it.
say the
We'll
dam,
get to
but
it.
Also
We'll get
agree.
to it.
But I mean, all three of those, if we include the dam, for me, I mean, water was a factor.
Yeah.
And it probably
We had water at both of those.
We had water at both.
So I remember,
and we were in, except for the dam, but at Cranberry we were in the water. Like
Right.
it was
Yeah, we did get in,
It was an
which was
integral
a
part
moment.
of
It was
right.
cold.
It was cool. But we were all in, and it was cool.
Oh,
so
I
I
like
like
it.
it.
I remember a campsite that we passed on because it wasn't close to water, and the campsite we ended at was horrible. It was the last night in Manistee, and we were near a ton of campsites,
Right.
but it was also really populated. A lot of people were coming in. There were a couple campsites where people like come in super early just for the campsite because the views, it's like right on the edge of a cliff. It's like unbelievable, right? Well, there was one that we walked to and we kind of looked at, and it was on the edge of a cliff, and it was beautiful, and we considered stopping and staying there, but it would have been a hike for water.
It would have been a
I
hike.
those spots were full.
No, there was one left.
And,
There was one.
and so this is what happened. We went up to it and we were like, oh, this is super nice, but like it is a hike for water. We'll find another one. We're like, we'll find another one. Let's keep going. And then we kind of split up and got lost. That's when we saw Pierogi Boy and his cast iron skillet.
I remember that.
And they were
that's
headed
when
up.
We had to go scout ahead.
You
Yeah.
were getting
Yeah.
water there.
We
Yeah.
were- we
'Cause
were
running.
running.
Yeah.
That's where we would have gotten water.
To
And
get
it
a
would have had to
spot.
been
Yeah.
a little bit of a hike, but I'm pretty sure those guys were headed up to that sweet campsite. And I wish we would have gone and done it, but in retrospect, yeah, it's easy to say that. But like we ended up literally just doing our best and finding like this,
We were
some
still
what,
we
though?
were still on the water.
Without
There was a
staying,
little creek
You're right.
still.
yeah, without
Yeah.
staying in that spot, we may have never have met Diarrhea Paul.
I was
true.
literally
true.
just about to say.
Well,
that
he probably
Paul
would
would
have
not-
been having diarrhea. It just would have
Right.
been on a beautiful view.
His,
was-
his
No.
nickname
No.
could have been
it was spot
cliffhanger.
specific.
think so?
No, cliffhanger.
He would not.
cliffhanger.
Just
no.
riding off the side.
Oh, I hate
Here's
that. That's not.
shooting off the mountain.
Here's my
No
trace.
trace.
My
Shooting off
version
the
of that
mountain.
is if we had been up at the cliff.
That's horrible.
If we had been up at the cliff, Paul still would have had issues for
Yeah.
sure. But
I just like
I
playing in
think-
my mind that way.
I think he would not have been able to handle them as easily because
Right,
that
right.
spot he had a perfect.
It was the
setup.
Taj Mahal.
It
man.
was
Like it was.
he may as well have had his own outhouse. It was. I mean, he had a good setup, so I think he was able to handle it quite well considering the circumstances. If we were up there, he might not have been as pleasant.
Yeah.
as,
That's what I think
as he
too.
was.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's also
That's a rough
something
night
you
to go
don't
for.
plan for.
That spot was not good, but we made it work.
We did.
And I don't. I'm trying to think of spots that I just didn't care for, and I can find silver linings at all of them. Unfortunately,
some of the ones that I think are the ones that we really try to avoid are spots that like it appears that you have flat ground and that you'll have spots to put tents, but there's fucking rocks everywhere or a lot of roots and stuff like that. So like,
yeah, that's
really, I mean, like when I'm looking at finding a spot for the tent, I really look at the ground, making sure that there's no like small little twigs or anything like that. Because like, first of all, you don't want anything to puncture your tent because now your tent's not watertight.
Yeah.
And then you don't want anything puncturing your bed, your air mattress, because now you're just sleeping on the ground, which I've had to do a couple times as well.
yeah. Sounds like a you
really,
problem.
dude. I'm telling, but you know, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
So I'm really aware of where I'm putting the tent.
That's a good. It was at
it's fair.
the first night at Manistee when we had to hike in the cold and we kind of just found that spot basically
yeah.
on the trail.
That spot sucked.
That sucked.
That sucked.
That sucked. That was
that
the
spot
worst.
That
sucked.
was out of necessity.
You know
Yeah.
what though?
But
And
it was
spot
worse.
Sucked because it was cold as balls.
It was.
and it was
dude,
like
I had like ice on my hammock.
yeah, dude.
That was
It sucked.
worse.
It was really
that was
cold.
worse than the first night at Loyal Sock. We did the same thing, but that was much better. The Manistee one
That was also like 2 a.m.
Yeah, it
we
was
were
rough.
like,
But the reason
nuts.
Brian reminded me of this because I actually wasn't even thinking of that site until you said the roots and the rocks and everything.
Yeah.
But the ground is an important thing because at Manistee I had a very slight incline in how I had to set my tent up.
Bro.
And that little angle,
No.
I woke up 30 times that night,
Dude.
just like
Yeah.
sliding down into the bottom of my tent. Like, God, sliding. And I had to like reshuffle myself back up to the top.
I don't love that.
It was
Trying to
horrible.
You
It was
gotta
terrible.
you
hate
have
that.
to try to find as flat a ground as you can, and if you're gonna be on a slight incline like that,
Put your head at
you
the
need
top.
to be head at the top and going straight down it, and not like kind of cockeyed a little bit,
at an angle.
because
Yeah,
you will slide.
Yeah.
Like even like that small little degree, that gravity just grabs you.
Especially
Pulls you
unless,
over.
and I don't know which. I think
Damn
some
it.
pads have it. I know the Nemo doesn't, but I think some pads actually do have a little bit of like a rubberized bottom.
Oh yeah.
So that
you
it has
don't
some friction,
slide,
but
yeah.
the normal pad is just, it's like nylon on nylon. It's like,
Right.
just
Yeah.
It's
Your
like
tent bottom's
silk.
nylon.
It's grade school gym pant
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
Gym
Yeah.
teacher pant material.
Dude.
Yeah,
Swishy
it's
pants.
windbreaker.
sliding across silk
Yeah.
sheets, just like. But so yeah, that was a bad. My spot choice, because I didn't really have any options, was bad, and the campsite itself was bad.
You know what though about that campsite though? Like it was bad. We were like right on the trail, and we even like in the morning, there was a guy walking through. The only person that we saw really all that whole morning was like a dude. Wasn't he hunting?
No, that was
In Manistee?
that happened at Loyal. But
It
I know you
happened
were
at
on Loyal.
Manistee.
That did happen at Loyal, where we
Yeah.
I don't
we
remember
saw
him
a guy.
hunting. I know that we were taking off. I can't remember what campground it was. We were taking off,
Which is wild to have.
and
a hunter.
before we were waiting for a couple of the guys in the group, and the at the trailhead we saw a hunter that was going
Yeah.
up. What I don't remember.
I thought that was that Loyal.
that was Cranberry, maybe. I don't think it was Loyal Sock.
Oh,
I can
no.
vividly picture it in
that
my
was
head.
with Nick.
We were waiting.
We were waiting for Nick and Andrew.
Yeah, where was that? Was that?
Where was
that must have been Loyal Sock.
had to be
'cause I
Loyal.
didn't
No,
go
it wasn't Loyal
that.
Sock. Nick didn't go on Loyal Sock. We'll have to go back.
Perry.
We
and
got to
look.
go back.
Perry.
Well,
Perry.
anyways,
It was
the
Perry.
Manistee,
It was
funny
Perry.
thing about the first thing was
Yeah, that
that
makes sense.
first
PVL.
site with Manistee, like just being horrible. Well, you know what? Also, like because it was 2 a.m., it was tough to find. We were walking on the road for a long time, so
Through
you're
a
just like,
trailer
Oh my
park.
god, through a
That-
trailer
that-
park.
private property.
That night just
That whole
sucked.
thing sucked.
Yeah.
But you
It
know
was
what?
So unique, though.
You know what happened though? We still made a fire and we had cheese.
Yeah,
And
we
had
did.
cheese, yeah.
We did make a fire, didn't
Yeah.
And
we?
we had cheese, and Mike busted out some cheese.
Yeah,
And circle meat.
and circle meat.
Circle meat.
Circle meat.
That was.
I think that
we
in
make the
my
best of
mind
anything.
now, so that was trip 3.
Yeah.
Why the did we make a fire? Why don't
I
we just
don't
go to
know.
bed?
I don't know, dude.
Like,
'Cause
if
I'll
we-
tell you why. It
Because
was
we were dumb.
it was cold as. That's
I
why.
get it, but all the
But
effort
still,
for
think,
that.
think
I
about
don't know.
Think about how amped up we were. Like
That's
our
what it
third
is.
trip.
You're
It's-
amped.
we're
You're
just-
like, gotta make a fire. Gotta make a fire.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Dude,
here at a campsite.
I
We
get
need
it.
fire.
I
Right.
think now after
Go
you
listen-
know,
I would
12,
definitely go to
15
sleep.
like
Go
yeah.
re-listen to the
that.
Go
Dude,
re-listen to the
I'm not
campfire
doing that
episode, man.
shit again.
We had a whole episode about why a campfire is so important.
I respect it. I love it. I'm in. But dude, at 2 a.m, just let me eat a slice of cheese and let me go night.
Let me eat my Chipotle burrito and go to
Night,
bed.
night.
Yeah, it's
me outta here.
no. I remember. Actually, I don't even remember the fire in the evening. I remember the fire in the morning. We started a fire in the morning at that shitty camp spot in Manistee.
I do
Yeah.
remember that.
No.
we did.
I do
Yeah.
remember
Why?
the morning. yeah.
Because
Some of
somebody
us-
woke up early.
Some of us wanted to cook
I had
their
to cook
oatmeal.
I had to cook my breakfast, but
Yeah.
even
Over
before
the
I came
open
out,
Snorlax over here. I had to eat
Snorlax
something.
needed his morning
Me
oatmeal.
hungry.
even before that, I think it was you, Brian. But somebody was up and was just like stoking the fire.
yeah,
It was,
because I
ready to
didn't
go.
fucking sleep that night, so I was up. I was just waiting for like 4:30 or 5 a.m. to roll around so I
But-
could just like get out of my tent.
Oh my
But I'll
God.
tell you what, like a morning
We've
fire is
come
a
so
big
far.
thing, and it can make an uncomfortable morning a lot more comfortable.
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, so let's keep
Fair.
talking about the fire aspect of it. So if you're looking
Well-
for a good camp spot,
So here, all right, this is
you need to have
a
like,
good question.
you
Lay
need
it
to have
down, Snorlax.
We've had. So is a campsite without a campfire by default like lower on the list?
100%.
Yeah.
A ring
I think
is
you're-
just key.
Well, ring or not? I think.
Well, I
are
mean,
you
I'm
saying,
talking about where you can't have a fire.
We have
No. I know what
Okay,
you're
okay.
saying because
We-
that's not the campsite's fault, right?
No,
There's
but
a T-shirt in there. The ring is king.
the ring is king.
The ring
but
is king.
we have not specifically gone to an area before while choosing where we were going to go because there were no campfires allowed.
We have based campsite decisions on that. Yes.
Just
And I
trips
tripped
in general.
decisions.
Trip
Oh yeah,
decisions.
entire trip. Well, yeah, we were
Yeah.
gonna do. Was it Shenandoah? We wanted to do, but
Yes.
we know there's no fires.
Rings
Shenandoah doesn't have fires?
on.
Right.
Now,
Designated spots
They're-
only.
it depends. It depends where you look, because
a little
I've seen
surprising.
a couple things where it's like, yeah, no
Yeah.
problem, as long as it's got a rock ring, and then I've seen absolutely not. So like,
Yeah.
who friggin'
It's not-
knows?
it's.
But
I think
think
you got to make your best.
I
choice.
think
feel
of,
right in-
I think of Adirondacks,
Adirondacks, you can definitely not.
and we didn't. And I think
Right.
And the whites.
I enjoyed
Whites,
that.
you couldn't either.
I enjoyed that campsite. The one night that Mike got sick, unfortunately, but I enjoyed that.
I
and
enjoyed
it was
that night as
close to the creek. We got to hang out there. It was all cool. But
Getting near water.
man, if we had a fire, that might be
That would have been a-
that would have been pretty epic.
That would have been a great camp spot because it was big enough for our group. That was,
we were kind of done.
we had a huge group for that
We had
too.
some
It had-
whiskey. We had
Yep.
cigars. I mean, it was.
It had
That
the
was
shitter
the
on
last.
the hill.
Wow.
That was the last night.
It was nice.
Cigars,
It had the
whiskey,
shitter.
cheese.
Yeah.
It had the
Cheese.
shitter on the hill, the latrine up the road, like
Yeah.
so you
On
could
the
go
hill.
shit on a box if you wanted to,
Yep.
which
Oh.
I took advantage
I don't
of.
remember that.
You don't? I'm pretty sure you. No, I think you still chose to shit in the ground on that.
I'm typically a groundhog in those situations.
He still chose to shit in the ground.
I will say that I
That's
remember
so funny.
at it
calling
was at
Punxsutawney
it
Phil
was
over
at
here.
oh baby. Don't
Oh man.
now I'm distracted. There was a spot at ADK where, and we've talked about it. It was
Yeah.
like a fucking throne, man.
Yeah.
Like on display for all. Like, hey,
that was-
I'm taking
yeah.
a shit. Like,
That was
no,
night one.
We went to bed when it was still light out.
Yeah, it was that
Yeah,
night.
and then I didn't poop on that.
The
thing.
the latrine choice
chance.
At that site was interesting because it was like right in the middle of,
like four
four
campgrounds.
separate
Yeah.
sites
Yeah,
within
God.
pass. I mean,
Actually, I think I remember like
somebody sat. I mean,
So-
and it was facing us too. If
Yeah, it
you
was
went to it,
facing
you
us.
had to face the group.
so what happened. I remember this. It's coming back to me now.
We don't need to
because
celebrate
now that you
that.
said it was facing. Now that you said it was facing us, so it was. We had just got done with dinner. I think I had the pad thai with chicken for the first time, and I'm like, I think I'm good. I don't think my stomach's messed up or anything like that. And then like it got dark, and I'm like, oh, my stomach's starting to rumble a little bit. Let me see if I can ignore it. Like,
back in.
like
It'll
let's see,
go
let's see
away.
before we
Suck
get into
it
the
in.
tents.
Yeah.
If before we get into the tents, I
No.
can like stomach it back in and just like have my
It's never a
body
good choice.
absorb it. And it was not happening. It was pitch black, and I think I made Greg go up and like shine his light so I could kind of see what was going on.
You had a poop buddy.
I did.
He had to sit there with
Yeah.
his headlamp and stare
I
at you
think-
taking a shit.
I don't remember if he like
What a
turned
good
his
sport.
headlamp
Yeah.
around and like faced camp, and then like his headlamp was shining at me, so I can kind of see what I was doing here. But there was not enough light with just one.
You know what would solve that
one
problem?
thing.
You know,
Lucy
a
lamp.
Lucy light.
Get the fuck out of here.
Today is Greg's birthday. Funny enough.
Oh, is it
Hey!
really?
He's a leap day boy.
Oh, Greg,
He's-
happy
he-
birthday!
Well, belated or
He
happy
turned 8 today.
belated birthday.
Greg, I'm gonna
You
text
won't
you
hear
right
this
now.
away,
I'm
but-
texting you right now. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Greg.
funny.
Oh, buddy.
That's a good friend right there. If I'm willing to
I
go
was
watch
gonna
you take
say,
a shit.
I'm
I
not,
know, right?
I'm not so
Hang on,
convinced
hang
that
on.
if you rolled over and said, "Hey, man, dude, I got to take a shit, man. Can you help me out?" Like
You wouldn't.
I would. I
You
would.
would. You would.
Well, I think we.
But
we probably
I will
all would.
also say, and this has been, I think Andrew did it at Cranberry. He had Taco Bell on the way to the trip. Bad idea,
Dude, that is not
or-
a pre-trip meal.
or
No.
awesome
you
idea. But I remember him getting up in the middle of the night, and like I will say, the more trips I go on, the more if I feel like there's a fucking inkling that I'm gonna have to wake up in the middle of the night and shit,
You're going to-
I'm
yeah,
going. I'm
just
gonna
go.
make it happen
Yeah.
before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing I want
Yeah.
to, I don't even want to get out of my fucking sleeping bag to go pee. You mean to tell
No,
me
dude,
I gotta
no.
go dig a hole and then do that in
See,
the dark? I'm not. No.
We were talking about prepping the area and stuff like that. That's
Oh,
when you get to
yes.
camp,
Yeah.
you just
You wanna be
immediately
ready.
get prepared. You go dig your hole. You get your
If
stuff
you
all ready
know
to go.
that about
if you
yourself,
know, right?
yeah, you
that's-
go and
Hell
take
yeah.
care of it.
Not
Hell
a
yeah.
problem for me. But dude, I probably in normal life, I don't know the last time I woke up in the middle of the night and it's like, oh god,
No, I haven't had to do that in the middle of the night, which is
Like,
good. I've gone out and
20
peed, but-
years?
Yeah.
Like, I don't
well, I mean, that's something to consider too.
Long time.
What's
You're
a,
probably sick if you're doing that.
what's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah,
good
exactly,
campground?
yeah.
What's a good campground?
Or your
one
Brian.
that has something that a space, a designated space for you to be able to like Well, that's a good area
Yeah,
for
one
me to
with
go
a
poop.
fucking building with toilets.
You
and
could do
shit,
that too.
and toilet paper.
You could
Yeah.
try to. You could try to base your trip
Yeah.
in your
It's
campgrounds
possible.
around
if
those
that's
places.
a priority, but to me that doesn't make like
I don't care.
I will
about
say
That's
that.
a
though,
priority.
it's
You
great.
should-
I'll say
you shouldn't be backpacking.
The state of some of those, though.
Oh yeah,
I'd rather shit in the ground.
No
Oh.
shit.
I mean,
Listen,
No pun intended.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Like a buddy of mine from our friends from Canada sent me a photo of one of those latrines, and it's a fucking mess. There's shit. There's
Yeah.
fucking toilet
Cockroaches
paper everywhere.
and-
like
yeah.
no, like I'm not sitting on that.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
give me that Z-pad. Let's go. Let's go for a walk.
Let's go for a walk.
no, dude,
Damn,
those things
dude.
are foul.
Yeah, man, they're rank.
Yeah.
Because nobody's cleaning them. There's not like
No.
a dedicated person
Not
that at least
often.
comes around
Not
like
often,
once
yeah.
a month, maybe.
Well, and
I
the
actually,
one that's I don't know if I forget where it was. It might have been Perry or Linville, but that one is like it's closed half the season anyway, and then
Yeah.
like bears get into it.
Yeah, they lock
it's
'em
all
up.
boarded off, but then it just gets ripped open by somebody. It's
Because someone had to go. This door is coming off its hinges.
right. Yeah,
oh my god,
it's a mess.
that's so insane. No, I would say when I'm like thinking of my favorite campsites, what the bathroom situation or like
I didn't
what
even think
that was
about
like
that.
is
Yeah.
not.
It's not a
even
contributing
not-
factor.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean,
a
you're in the
factor.
woods. You can make that happen anywhere.
So,
like it's
so
you
let's go around the horn, and I think now that we've been talking about it for a few minutes, I think I know my answer, and I'm happy to go first. What are like the couple pieces that
Yep, I know
make a
mine.
good campground for you? And I'm sure everyone's got. There'd probably be a lot of crossover here, but maybe some variability. I'll go, and I think two of my things are going to be probably normal for everybody, but one being water, like
Yeah.
that.
We talked about that. Yeah.
To me, and I think it's one extreme or the other. There's something about, and that's why the shoe campground was not bad for me. There's something about being kind of enclosed and either tight or cozy, or like big and wide open, where it's like you have a ton of room to like f around,
Yeah.
throw the frisbee. Like I like that,
Yeah.
but I also kind of like when we're all kind of hunkered down, like kind of in a little like group, like the tents are closed,
Right.
we're snuggly.
Well,
I'm good with that too.
What's funny about that, like when we went to the Whites, the coziness was at max because on the first night
Oh,
we
yeah.
were all
The
under
lean-to.
the same lean-to.
Yeah.
All,
Love that.
So how many
Shoulder to
of
shoulder,
us?
9.
There
It was
were
nine of us. We
Yeah.
were all like even, like perfectly
Yeah.
spaced.
Dude, we were like
Shoulder
a
to
rack
shoulder.
of ribs. Man.
It was like roller dogs,
Yeah.
dude. Just
Hell
like
yeah.
Such a
perfect,
good
like,
description.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, dude, it was perfect. And that was like fun because it was like,
Piano
it reminded
keys, baby.
me of, so I always went to like summer camp as a kid and we had bunk beds and
Like, everybody's
the camp
packed
counselor was there and
in,
everyone's kind of like
sleeping
in
on
their
top
bunk
of each
beds
other,
and like
yeah.
you're all
And you
getting
know what?
cozy, but everyone's under the same roof and you're
Yeah.
like, somebody made a fart joke
Oh,
and like,
dude,
you know,
that is like,
giggling, like it was
you
so
talk about
fun.
feeling the feels and like the nostalgia of like childhood for me.
That's it.
That is
the
that is
bunkhouse.
so quintessential to me because I think about all the times I camped as a kid, like with Greg and all that, and then I think about like trips that I went to camp around here, dude. When it's real quiet in those bunkhouses and then someone makes a fart noise or something, and it's just like, dude, the fucking roof comes off. like everybody is so.
It's like
oh
not
man,
at the Apollo. It's like just roaring from laughter. Like, I could like literally smell my sleeping bag from those
Yeah.
days. Like that just is so
yeah.
a core memory.
I can smell it right now.
yeah, it's crazy.
That's such a like a visceral. I'm thinking back to like the just retreats and stuff you do in grade school or whatever. But yeah, it's like you got what like 26 opportunities for hilarious.
Yeah.
Like there you got something's gonna
It's
happen.
so
Noises.
absurd.
It's so
Noises.
absurd.
It just
You
takes
can't-
one.
And the beauty of it, and we didn't. It's even like, especially when it's pitch black. Like it's lights out. Everyone's done. No one's got their phones in their faces because back then that didn't happen. It was like you cannot see. So any noise that happens, you have no idea what the source is. It's just, I'm just like,
and your senses are heightened
Oh,
because
dude.
it's
I remember like nights where my face would just hurt from like laughing.
like
so
my
hard.
face hurts right now.
and then eventually it dies down and everyone just sort of naturally goes to sleep. But you've got a good 30, 40 minutes of just like the best comedy you've ever, and nothing happens.
I have a hilarious story. Hold on, because I could probably like tell like 1,000 stories from like camp growing up, but I have one really, really funny story, and my mom's gonna laugh because I know she listens to this and she probably remembers this. But
is it the raccoon Bible story?
No,
again?
no. This is like summer camp,
Also
like
an awesome
like
story.
church camp. Like I was gone for like a full week and in the cabin with kids, and I remember we'd always bring disposable cameras with us.
Oh, dude, I remember that too.
Always brought disposable cameras.
What a thing.
Dude, I was so horrible at taking pictures. I never took pictures of like anything. Like it was bad.
I think I know where you're going, and if you don't go there, I'm gonna go there later.
No, you don't know. I don't think you know. So with those disposable cameras, sometimes if you get it just right, you can hit it and flash.
Without taking a photo.
You gotta hold the button and then just hit the bottom of it. Yeah.
But little did I know that it kind of still gets exposure on the film. Like it's not a full photo, right? So I remember like we did that a bunch with my friends, and I remember one time my buddy like mooned me, and I did it, right? So I take the camera. My mom takes the camera and goes and gets it developed, and we get like remember the
little
envelope?
envelope.
We had all the photos, and there was a picture in half exposed. It was like my buddy, but then the half exposure was him mooning.
Marcus's ass. Yeah.
It's so insane. I remember my mom seeing it. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was so ridiculous. Like that half exposure, my buddy's butt. Like,
I can't wait.
Insane.
I know these kinds of moments are going to happen with our kids, and it's going to come home and it's going to be like, oh, that's wholesome. Like, glad we did that.
Yep.
Yeah,
glad
dude.
that happened.
Yeah, and like we're off the topic of the campsites specifically, but like that is something that we don't get to experience anymore much. Where that delayed gratification of like the photo that you never knew existed until 2 weeks later.
You're like,
you can still do that though.
You can, but you got to go out of your way. Usually, it's
that's
like
okay.
on your
Maybe
phone.
just do it now.
But that was life.
Go out of your way.
Everything was that.
Go out of your way.
Like all those photos. So the memories that you would try to capture while you're there, you'd be like, well, hope that worked out. And then 2 weeks later, you run into hilarious events like that. It's such a beautiful thing.
Speaking of Greg and campsites, doesn't he take a photo of every single campsite we've been on?
He
we
does.
should have just had him come up for
Ever
the
since,
podcast episode.
He did it it wasn't always from the start because he made the decision after it got to a point where we were like, oh, you remember that campground?
Right, and you're like, oh,
I can't remember. And he was just like, this. I'm going to take a photo of every campground we stay at so that if some jackass can't remember, it's like, here, let's pull up the tape.
There it is.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, so if we're talking about like what makes a perfect campsite
for you,
so
in general.
your sort of top factors. Yeah,
I'm going to talk about a trip that overall I don't think was my favorite, but each campsite was unique and fun. I want to talk about the 3 campsites that we had at Cranberry Wilderness.
Okay.
So night 1. We get there at dark.
Yeah.
It's nighttime. We can't see anything. We go about 2 miles in to a place a designated campsite we knew was on the map. We knew was there.
Yeah.
We have never stayed anywhere like that.
Dude,
No.
okay, so but when we're there, like there was a good amount of space. Everyone was kind of like, we had our spots. We were set up. It was a weird night because like Paul got water in his face because he had
It started raining.
a horrible hammock set up. Andrew was shitting McDonald's over in the corner because of some whatever he was doing
because of earlier bad mistakes.
Mistakes. But I'll never forget waking up and when the sun was rising and seeing we were basically in like an emerald city of like moss.
We were just on moss.
It looked like the entire ground was covered in green shag
gorgeous.
carpet.
We had no idea, and there were like large boulders, like copper boulders.
It
all
looked like
over.
a scene from the Teletubbies. Like shit was like rolling. It was hilly. Everything was covered in moss.
I was
going to
say out
a
of
golf
like
course.
I was going to say out of like a fantasy novel or something. But
Yeah,
something
not
more
Teletubbies.
epic than
Can you tell he
Teletubbies.
is-
Poe was in the
kids.
background,
Like there were some fucking gnomes around there, or whatever. Some trolls.
There's a fucking gnome again from last episode.
He's back.
That gnome's back.
But
Third
it was
time
just
he's
it
made an appearance.
was surprising. That's the
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
we didn't know that we were sleeping.
Waking
in it,
up
and
to
to wake
that-
up into that was a surprise.
Well,
okay,
right, and
was
you're
outrageous.
basically on everything's just carpeted. You're on moss carpet. Everything.
So let's
and
fast.
that was wild.
Let's fast forward to night 2. So that day was tough because we had a river crossing we didn't expect that took a while to get over.
But it was
we got
so much fun.
lost. We had a trailblaze, and right before dusk, we found a lean-to.
Yeah.
Where you guys got into. I
On the
was a little
river.
bit off because I had my hammock, but it was on a river.
Which I don't think we definitely didn't plan to get there, did we? Did we know that
No.
existed?
We planned to get over to that area.
Yeah.
But we weren't as far down as we were planning on being.
And I don't think we knew that was like a holy shit. Like
We
this is
didn't-
here.
we
It
didn't
was like-
know it was going to
'cause we
be
were
a
lost and
lean-to.
it was tough.
We didn't know it was
We
going
didn't
to be
know
a
it was a
lean-to,
lean-to. And there
but
were
I knew there
picnic
was going to be
tables.
spots.
Right. So
Yeah.
fine campsite. It was just like unique and different, right? Because
Yeah.
the water was raging
Yeah.
on the river. Like it
Big
was
river, too.
pretty
Yeah.
pretty rapid.
Yeah.
And we had the lean-to, which was unexpected. Okay, so night 2, another interesting campsite.
And we were idiots and we set up our tents inside the lean-to for some
That
reason.
was a rookie
We were
mistake.
just-
I don't know
Don't
why
ever-
you guys
don't
did
ever-
that.
I don't know either.
Because I think it was kind of buggy. I think that's
I don't
why.
know.
Because
I think I've
I
seen
didn't-
this topic online, and people are unaffended by it.
You're
Really?
not. You're not
Really?
supposed to set up your tent in a lean-to.
I mean, it's
'cause
not hurting anything.
Well,
It just
it's
seems
It's like
a
wearing
waste.
2 condoms.
it takes up too much room. So like if someone does
It's like
need
wearing
to
a
go there,
raincoat in the shower.
yeah, but if someone does need to go there, we didn't put our flies on.
Yeah,
We
right.
just-
I
we
know.
were-
I think it
we
was
just
bugs.
bugged
I would
them.
hope bugs.
I think it was because
Maybe
there
it
were
was
bugs in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's why.
Anyways,
Just
that
don't do that,
brings
though.
that brings us to night 3.
Night 3.
The best site.
I think that, and again, the whole camping, backpacking experience in Cranberry was like fine. It didn't blow me away. Cranberry itself didn't blow me away, but this campsite, I think, tops my list. One, it was dense, but still pretty sprawling. It was kind of like the woods were very dense,
had
but
space.
It had this like gap, this like area that we could all like comfortably put up tents,
And
put our
if you remember,
hammocks.
it was like down like a little stair ledge.
Yeah.
It was a confined little defined space.
right off of the trail down, right next to a creek.
Had steps into the water.
Into the water,
Yeah, it was
and we
nuts.
all like got into the water. We all swam around. It was cold, but like unbelievably refreshing.
Oh yeah. The
We had
sun was
so
out.
much
It was
space.
cold, but it was sunny.
The sun was out.
Yeah.
We threw the aerobie.
We had an amazing fire.
Yep.
That's where Andrew made his chair that
Yep,
he
that's right.
kind of put into the ground. That to me
It's where you
was
exposed
perfect.
yourself to strangers.
I did.
Yeah.
Everyone
You know-
saw me.
So
Everyone saw your wiener.
They did. I was after the water. I've told this before on the
Yeah.
podcast, but I was changing.
I was in the pool.
I was in the pool. And we hadn't seen anybody for hours. That's the thing that still blows my mind.
You're right.
I was naked for 30 seconds that day.
Yeah.
The entire
Whammo.
day. 30 seconds.
we didn't see anybody.
And we didn't see anybody all day except for those people during those 30 seconds. And I was like, I literally dropped trout and people.
And then he goes, "Don't pretend you're not impressed."
Yeah.
so
I literally was like, oh, sorry. And they're like,
Yeah.
it's okay. And I'm like, no.
I think I'm thinking about this now,
That's great.
and I'm trying to create some parallels or similarities between the campgrounds that I like the most. I know what my top 3 are. I think.
Well,
That's one of them.
Well,
But I want to
let's go-
Let me compare it to something.
Okay.
though.
All right,
yeah.
Because I think I've connected the dots for me of one of the reasons what I like about campgrounds.
Okay.
My favorite ones, at least. So that one for sure,
Yeah.
might be my top.
It's
Dolly
insane.
Sods on the water, also a top, and then the dam that we did at Perry,
Yeah.
also
Okay.
a top.
What's the dam? Talk about it, because I wasn't there.
that's right.
Plus, the podcasters, listeners weren't there. So,
So
explain it.
Well,
Yes.
do you want to do that now or?
So let's come back.
come
let me
back.
just
Back to
let me
that.
just say, I think the thing that the parallel that I'm drawing between all the campgrounds that are my favorite is the thing that we had at each of those was more time.
Yes.
Ah,
And
yeah.
that's-
And I'm,
yes.
and it kind of pisses me off because it's like I'm okay like going for a long hard day and then getting there, padding down and settling down. But there's something nice
Yeah.
about getting
And
to
I'll-
camp at like 3:00, setting up camp, just being a
Just
fucking
loafing.
slug,
Yes.
eating food, and then just chilling around the fire.
Yeah.
I'll take it a step
I
further.
think that's it for me.
I'll take it one step further on that. It's not just more time; it's unexpected more time.
That helps.
So,
that helps.
like with Cranberry, I think we had a good idea that we were going to end at a
No.
certain point. But
No,
it's like
'cause
that was not
Cranberry-
we did not plan to say, oh, we're going to end by 3. So that
No.
just happened.
It was
We
only
ended early, so we didn't finish.
It was only because we got lost the second day.
Right.
We didn't get to the camp spot that we needed to get to that second night. So there was a whole nother 20. I think originally that whole trip was 45 miles.
So
and
we cut
weren't
something
gonna
out.
we weren't gonna have enough time to go back into it and then come back out and finish.
Oh, so we took off-
we
we cut
only,
some section.
we only did like a 4-mile, 5-mile day that third day to get to a camp spot. We're like, this spot's awesome.
Right.
Let's just chill here.
Yeah.
We're 3 miles away from the
And
car
when-
at
yeah,
this
and
point.
I remember we
Yeah.
decided to stay there so we didn't finish.
Right.
Right. And when we planned that trip, that wasn't part of it. Like we
Right.
weren't saying,
No.
now Dolly Sods too, we intentionally said,
Correct.
we're staying a whole day here. And it was
Twice.
fantastic.
2 nights.
But
Yeah.
when that's a surprise,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
it's so
It was
much
incredible.
more, it's a great
satisfying.
campsite by itself. If we
Yeah.
had planned to get there, we would have been very happy. It's an added bonus of like, ooh, this is like a little treat and we weren't expecting it. But no, the time thing is definitely a big factor.
It keeps in my mind. I'm thinking about all my favorites, and it's like, damn, what did we do? What was so different? Most of them had good water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other was like, maybe we just had time to.
So there's one
Do
thing
nothing.
that none of us have mentioned yet that is on my list. So
Bear hangs. Trees for
Yeah.
bear bags.
plenty of bareback trees. No, so water and open sky.
Open
Yeah.
sky.
Whether
Yep.
it's
I'm going
whether it's in a forest, like or on a
that's
wide
why
open,
you like
whatever.
Perry so much.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
and
Perry.
And Perry, if you remember, is one of the darkest. It's the darkest
Yeah,
area on
right.
the East Coast.
Right. But
The
think
sky
about
there.
Cranberry. We were still in it. We were down by a stream, but right above us,
Yeah.
you could see
Yeah.
it. Perry, obviously, and we'll talk about Perry. But then my other, so Cranberry, Perry. What was my other one? Can't remember. Oh,
But what were the-
Manistee. When we were right on that with the we were right on
right
the
on
lake,
the lake.
Yeah.
and it was and
Yeah.
those all stand out to me mainly because I could just look up.
So Manistee, I was just gonna say, like, I remember us literally sitting there and like looking at, shooting stars, satellites, shit like that. Like we
Right.
were pointing it out because it was so clear. The only reason that one doesn't, like, it should rank higher, but it doesn't because I could see a car. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was
We
too
were
close to
in-
civilization.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
other people were
On
like car
the
camping.
lake.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's
I do
funny you
remember
said
that,
that.
too.
It's funny you said about civilization because I think one of the things that I really enjoy about a camp spot is like it just being out there.
So far
Right.
away.
Yeah.
That you're so far removed from every day and civilization and cars and traffic noise and all that stuff. I think that's one of my favorite things about a camp spot is it just being out in the middle of nowhere.
you know what I felt that the most on?
Huh.
The Cranberry, where you had the photo looking out in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And we heard the coyotes at night.
Yes.
That's where I don't.
Yeah.
We may not have been the most secluded in that, but that feeling of
Yeah.
pitch black and hearing shit going on in the
we
woods.
were
that-
out in the woods.
We were out
and it
there.
was
Yes.
very evident that we were just in
Yeah.
the
Yes.
wilderness. And that was cool.
and that
Yeah.
was a cool feeling.
Yeah. I think the other thing that the other property of a good camp spot that I really enjoy, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit, but flat ground
Yeah.
ground for you to sleep on. It is quite different being on a little bit of an angle.
yeah. It
And
sucks.
I think, and when I look back onto the nights I slept the best, it's when I had a flat ground. So I think for me, the top want that I would have in a camp spot is flatness.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
That's
sense.
a top one.
That would be the top want, and then
Wow.
second would be water.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
I think
flat ground
by-
feels like the easy thing to say, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't think to say it because it's like, of course you want flat ground. Like,
Right.
why would you not
But
want that?
you don't-
right? It's
you don't
obvious.
always
But when
get
you've
it.
had
But you
it,
don't- but you're right.
Yeah,
When
when
you
you've had a
don't
night
get
where
it-
you haven't had flat ground,
Yeah,
it makes a
dude.
huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah,
I
got
agree.
you.
I think by definition that if we factor all of those things in, Perry would be by definition the best site. Open sky, flat ground, good
Yeah.
fire, near water, no wind.
cold as shit.
It was cold.
Very cold.
because
that was a cold
because it was a little exposed because there was the water on the one side. We were on top of a dam,
Right.
and then on the other side was just nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
Just
cool.
dropped
It was a-
off.
Just
It
dropped
was
off.
a cool spot though.
But it was flat as, I mean,
It was flat.
freaking
It was really cool. I don't know if you were. We could have been. No, I don't think we were the first people to camp there.
No.
Wasn't there a fire ring there?
I think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
there
there was
would've- yeah.
kind of tucked off to the side.
Yeah, I
we
don't think
probably
we
technically weren't supposed to be there.
But we weren't the first to
we wouldn't-
just camp
yeah, we
on
weren't the
it.
first,
Yeah.
I don't know why we
Interesting.
wouldn't have wanted to be there. Like, because I remember
We
there
checked
being
around.
that
Yeah.
trail that kind of led us
Yeah.
through there. I remember
we had
there.
to walk. There
There
was
was a huge open field.
right, and there
before
was
you
like
got to that part.
there was a full on like not trailer park, but like campsite, like
Yeah,
car
there was-
campsite nearby.
yeah.
We had to walk through that, and then there wasn't. We didn't pass like actual legit campsites to get to that. We could have, I think, if we kept going in one direction.
Yeah.
There was more like
Yes.
established, but then we went to there because we knew there was water, I think.
It was kind of like
And
ducked
then
in the
we-
woods a little bit.
But we just kept walking through and was like, oh, this is wide open and flat.
Yeah,
there was
this
that
will work.
field. We walked through
Yeah.
that field and we're
Yeah.
like, oh, this has potential.
Yeah.
And then we crossed through that one little section of trees and
We're like, oh, this is the answer.
This is the one.
This
Speaking
is what
of
we were looking
fields,
for.
speaking of fields, I thought about this this afternoon when we were kind of just talking a little bit and reminding each other what the topics were today. I wanted to bring up the camp spot that we were supposed to camp at when we went to Mount Mitchell. And we got there. It was day 2, right after we got down from the peak of Mount Mitchell.
Oh, I do
And
remember.
we get to this beautiful area. Beautiful open area. It had, big boulders and stuff like that in some of the sections.
It was a very good spot.
It was super grassy, like super comfortable, and we kind of look at one of the trees. One of the trees has a sign on it that says no camping, bear activity.
Oh,
Can't be here.
Bummer.
So I was like, well, shit, that sucks.
That was where you were
Like
supposed
this
to stay.
this is a huge area. This would have been perfect.
Yeah.
There's a huge fire pit right here. I think there were wasn't there oh no, they were horse troughs. Because you could bring your horses over there.
what, so the
there-
bears could eat them?
Yeah. Bear food. Sacrifice your horse for the bears. No wonder they're having bear problems.
Right. Stop bringing food.
Stop bringing it a meal, a live meal.
So we're like, well, shit, this is like a perfect spot. Should we just like ignore the sign? We didn't ignore the sign. We went down a little bit further. I think we went another mile. We ended up hanging the bear bag over that way. But even though it may look like a perfect spot, it rained like hell that night and the morning through. It didn't stop raining until 10 o'clock. And when we went back to go get our bear bag, that entire grass area was
Swamp.
a foot underwater.
Oh no, that would have been horrible.
You would have been completely. You would have been floating.
Do you think that
Damn.
maybe that was the only sign they had, and they put it up to make sure that nobody went there because it does get flooded?
No, I don't think so.
That would be cruel because people will look at that sign and be like, it's fine. If you put a sign up that says you will be underwater, they'll be like, no campers
No
can be like,
campers
oh
will
my
be-
god,
God, it is
Yeah.
fine.
Uh-huh.
That's true. It's cool. I like water. Yeah.
But we
thing is-
will avoid like getting wet or being like our tents going underwater more than we will avoid bears.
So
That's
nothing,
true. I agree. I agree
Nothing
with
is
that.
100% for your camp spot. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
you just kind of have to go. Well, if I'm uphill a little bit here, at least if it does rain, the water will run off and it
right.
won't collect in this area.
Yeah.
You know the funny part about that camp spot, though?
Huh?
We saw that sign,
Yeah.
and then first off, this is f***ing hilarious. First off, we went down the like path, like,
Right.
I don't know, 80 yards.
We were less than a mile away when we found camp.
We were less than a football field away from a sign that said like, "Oh, bear activity."
Oh my
And
god,
then,
that's true.
And then to add insult to injury,
We hang the bag.
our fucking bear bag where there's bear activity.
They're already having bear
There's gonna
activity.
be bear
I know.
activity.
They're already
everywhere.
there.
The irony is just it's
You know
like
what? It's like-
it is-
it's like the,
this is cinema here.
like
man.
We weren't the only ones to hang our bear
I
bag over there
know.
either.
It's like
it's just absolutely comical.
It's
So
like the
funny.
deer crossing sign where it's like, oh, well, why did deer cross here?
Right here. Yeah, exactly.
This is the spot.
This is where
the
they
one
cross always.
spot.
And
Yeah.
it's
So
this
funny.
is
Bear-
the highway.
Bears only hang out near that sign. Yeah,
Oh
it's,
gosh, that was
They
so,
should make a sign for the deer that says "road" here.
It's like when you see a dead animal on the side of the road. Oh, that's a funny place to take a nap. Man,
Silly.
God, what a mess, dude. What were we thinking?
Well, I think you guys
don't know.
I wasn't on that one, but you guys still had water issues though, where you stayed.
No,
No.
it was right down the way. It was close.
It was only because where we were, Alex and I,
Yeah.
we were downhill and it flattened out a little bit, and water. It kind of lipped up on the other side of where we had the tent.
So you were in a little pool.
We kind of when it rained, it was kind of collecting over on my side.
Yeah.
and we were about an inch away from taking on water.
Yeah, rain was coming up.
Did the boat
Underneath
bottom
us.
the boat bottom save you, or you didn't have the
No, I didn't. I had the
tub bottom? I mean, not the boat. Yeah.
the bathtub bottom.
Yeah.
It was only a 4-inch bottom.
Wasn't enough.
It wasn't. Well, the bigger issue was that
Bathtub bottom.
We stayed dry though.
the bigger issue was that
Thanks to him, I hear.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, I slept through the
You
whole
slept through the whole thing. The bigger issue was the
Had you
ground
woken
got
me up, I
saturated
would've.
so hard. I tried to wake you up. Alex, the fucking tent is coming apart. Wake up.
This song.
Well,
Hard
the ground
Z's.
got saturated, so the stakes were lifting up. So
Yeah, I remember.
immediately got new
Oh,
stakes
buddy.
after that.
Jeez.
But didn't you? Wasn't that the when you were uncovering that you should have put them up higher?
No.
Hold on. You
Wasn't
said
that a
that
tent
because of
problem?
that you went and got new stakes.
Yes.
What makes a good tent steak?
The one that I ended up getting.
Hey, buddy,
is,
we're talking about campgrounds here, not tent
Well,
stakes.
hey,
This isn't
listen,
a gear episode.
we haven't talked. I've never heard about a good tent.
All right.
steak, and
Break it
Brian's
down.
going to be the guy
he's
that
also
knows
do it
about
quickly.
it.
Austin's new to tents.
Quickly,
So,
quickly. There's
Not a tent guy.
There's a few steaks. There's the ones that are just round that have like the candy cane hook over
I've
top.
seen that. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The
Those
Betty
don't
Boat,
stay into the ground
yeah.
very well because
If it gets wet,
If it does get
saturated.
wet,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just pulls
So-
up. So there's the ones that are like shaped like a V.
Yes, I've seen those.
Those are okay. Those
Okay.
do fine. The ones that I got that stay in the ground a lot better are actually like tri-shaped. So it almost looks like a peace sign with
Okay.
a point through the middle.
like the groundhogs.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're called.
And
Yeah.
then I think the ones that I got were from MSR.
the red ones.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
them. And then
Yeah.
also I think Sea to Summit makes a version of that too.
Yeah,
There
those
you go.
those are good, and like I've seen ratings
Yeah.
on those. They do grip differently
Yeah.
than just
Good
the little
tent
shitty
spikes.
like singular
So, yes.
piece
I mean,
of
it's
metal
just
or
more
whatever.
surface area.
More
then, right?
surface area.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
More
and
stuff touching the ground.
It's also easier to punch into the dirt too.
Correct.
It just, it's like they're kind of sharp. Like if you were fucking around like with them,
spikes.
you could hurt. You
Yeah.
could cut yourself. for
Actually,
sure.
you know what? I think I got the Sea to Summit versions. They were slightly lighter
Of course.
than the
Of
MSR.
course.
Stop.
There's always a reason.
Go ram a winnie.
It made his lighter.
Okay,
It made his
that-
lighter pack sheet.
That
Round out
definitely,
nicely.
that
Yeah.
definitely puts me into a Graham Weenie category for
Yeah.
sure.
But you said you're
When you're
no
comparing
longer
one
a
titanium
Graham
product
Weenie.
to another
I
titanium
don't think
product.
I really care that much anymore. I don't know.
Now
We'll
that
see what
everything's
happens.
weight conscious, adding a little bit more is it seems less less impactful.
I've already accepted the fact that I'll never be ultralight.
You know, I don't think that's not true. You got a long life ahead of you, dude. You're gonna be ultralight one day.
You got a long life ahead of you, kid.
The way
You never know.
The way you are, dude. This is not going to stop.
No
You're gonna-
way.
you're
And
gonna
I
make it.
guarantee you the goalpost will move in the community,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
eventually you'll get there.
And in
Dude,
30
I
years,
don't
they're going to
know.
have packs that fucking
Yeah.
levitate or something.
You're
Like,
probably
it's-
you're right. You're done buying gear at this point. yeah, for sure.
Look, I never
Yeah.
said I was done buying gear. I got my dividends the other day
For REI?
from REI.
Yeah,
Seriously?
buddy.
I texted you guys. No one said anything.
Oh,
saw
I
it.
didn't see that you got the dividend. I
Oh,
thought it was.
hell yeah.
Oh,
It's shopping time, baby.
I gotta go look.
It's go time, baby.
I'm nervous.
It's
my
go
God.
time.
I have a gift card
We got
as
some good
well.
trips.
I
It was
have
just
a
to
gift
shop
card,
for.
too.
I already know, like, there's a couple things that I need for this year's trips that I'm going to be spending.
It's alarming how much I spent last year, just based on
Well,
this dividends.
I was gonna say you had something special this year.
Are
with
the
your
dividends
year,
the
so-
same as member rewards? Because I
isn't
think
it-
what they have right now is member rewards.
Maybe I looked at the wrong.
It might be
thing.
different.
I'll have to check it out. I'm not going to do
Because
that.
we're not
while
gonna do that
we're
here,
recording.
too. You know what?
I'll have to check it out later.
Let's wait till we're off.
Right. We'll
Yeah,
go off
off
mic
mic.
And we'll
All I can
we'll
say-
compare member rewards.
I'm excited to go shopping for campsites with you guys again soon. That's,
Yes.
Ooh,
baby.
Ooh, baby.
Talk dirty. Yes. So mean. I'm excited to go shopping for
I
camp.
love camp.
That
a good
might be the
campsite.
episode title, Shopping for Campgrounds.
Love it. I love it.
Go chasing waterfall. We're searching for campgrounds,
Oh my
baby.
god.
I love it.
Well, if you guys have special, I guess, little quirks or special things you look for when you are looking for a camp spot, let us know. Shoot us an email. Email's trailtheorypod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to tell your friends, and we will see you next time.
Are you alive? Are you okay?
The Trail Theory Podcast is sponsored by Audimute and Audio Technica. Music by Dan Koch.